Welcome to Artcasters, episode 378. Today we're going to be talking about Etsy, printing, cutting, and selling your own stickers, and whatever else we've got. We've got Emiline here. But before we kick it over to her, let's do some plugs. You can catch my stuff at coreykerr.com. And if you want to see some of the things that I have for sale, you can go to coreykerr.com/store. And if you want to hear some of the things that I have to say about those things, you can go to coreykerr.com/email, and then get on the email newsletter. The email newsletter is worth it, so jump on there so you don't miss stuff out. And Scott, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff on my website at circworks.com. That website has been totally revamped. Tons of cool stuff up there, including all my digital packs for making comics and things like that. And there'll be more stuff coming on the way. Other than that, definitely check out my YouTube channel over at Circworks Art Labs on YouTube. I just recently relaunched it after being gone for about 3 months. It's a whole new direction, and just check it out because it's something I've been working on for a while, and it's just I really upped my game and everything with what I'm doing on YouTube, and I'm looking to really grow that channel and build something really cool over there. So if you haven't seen my latest video, and I got another new video coming out on Tuesday, which that's probably one of the best videos I think I've ever done. So just check out my stuff on YouTube.
Awesome. And I highly recommend that. It's been fun to watch you kind of launch the new thing. So, Josh, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff looking for Joshua Kemble on YouTube, or just go to joshuakemble.com. That'll take you to all the social media stuff and all the other stuff. And if you're curious, you should check out my books, Jacob's Apartment, which is a graphic novel, slice of life, coming of age story about two roommates that are polar opposites and have life struggles, and as they're struggling, they find commonality, and their dreams and reality start interweaving, kind of like if you took Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, put it in a blender with Ghost World. You like that flavor? That's Jacob's Apartment. And then there's Two Stories, which is a comic that tries to destigmatize hard conversations about mental illness. So those are my two books. Check them out at bookstores everywhere.
Awesome. Also, highly recommend those as well. Okay, Emiline, tell us about yourself and where we can find your stuff.
Yeah, so I'm an artist and designer, and I occasionally do freelance illustration and design as well. And most of my stuff is Winter Star Art on Instagram or TikTok. Or if you want to buy any of my stickers, which we're going to talk about, then I'm Nerdy Creatives shop on Etsy, which is also linked in my Instagram.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay. And so that's why we're having you on today. Is we were talking a little while ago, and you're doing pretty well on Etsy, and so I thought, I gotta get this girl on. So let's just tell me real quick, when did you how old were you when you started selling on Etsy?
So I started selling on Etsy near the beginning of 2021. So I would have been still in high school at that time. So I was mid to late high school. I don't know the exact
that's fine.
age, but yeah, around that time.
Cool. And what got you into that, and why did you choose to do that and not a different platform?
Etsy, I think mostly because it was the one that everybody kind of talked about. I started out doing things like Redbubble. I had some artwork on Redbubble, but a platform like Redbubble, you make cents as your margin, which was fine, but I wanted to actually be making more money with it. And Etsy was kind of the platform that people sold their artwork and sold their stickers and things on. So I was like, okay, I will try out Etsy. Could be fun. And it was good.
Yeah. So tell us how that's going, and we'll kind of get into some questions on your recommendations on things, but what's your experience been like on Etsy?
My experience on Etsy has been overall pretty positive. Honestly, because it has such a huge user base already, maybe about 60 to 70% of my shop visitors come from within Etsy, while 30 to 40% are actually driven there by me. Which if you have your own website, it has to be 100% driven by you. So that still means that 60 to 70% of my sales are because of Etsy, which does make up for the fact that they take maybe 20-ish% in fees, which it's a lot of fees that stack up kind of, but it still feels worth it, honestly. And since I've been doing it since 2021, I've had time to like grow my sales since then and kind of learn more of what works and what doesn't, as well as build up an audience outside of Etsy, which has also been pretty helpful. I didn't start doing social media seriously for it until a few months ago, and since then I've had a pretty big jump in sales because a lot more of the traffic is coming from people that I'm taking there and people who actually know my content rather than just people who happen to come across it on Etsy.
Is there a difference in the fee structure when you drive the traffic versus when Etsy drives the traffic?
Not really, because the type of fees that Etsy takes, they have listing fees, which is when you put up a product, it's about 20 cents every time. If you sell the product, then it'll charge another 20 cents to put it back up. And they have processing fees, which is, I believe, like 3%, and then some transaction fees and some shipping fees, and they have other things. If you do Etsy ads, which I have done briefly, but it's not super worth it to me, you can pay Etsy a minimum of like $1 a day, and they'll promote your products in additional ways. Like they'll pop up in people's feeds more, or even off-site from Etsy when they run their ads. But you do have to pay $1 a day for that. And they tell you that you only pay that money if somebody actually clicks on your listing. But if you're selling stickers, which are usually between like $3 to $5, if you're losing $1 every day to maybe have a sale, it's not super worth it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can still get a lot of sales even without doing their ads, because I haven't done their ads in a while and I still have a decent amount of sales. So
cool. What kind of jump? So when you started doing social media, I'm kind of curious on what you mean by social media and like what your strategies are. But before you were doing that compared to the jump afterwards, what kind of jump are we talking about? Like where were you numbers wise? And you can be general or specific, but I'm just kind of curious on
I'd have to
either gross sales or like units.
I'd have to pull up my analytics, which is nice because Etsy has pretty good built-in analytics. But the main benefit I found in having an online audience is that I can do actual like shop updates, where I can have a planned day that this is the day I'm going to add X many new products to my shop. And I can kind of hype that up through social media and prepare people for that. And usually when I do have an update, I'd have to look at the exact numbers for it, but usually the day or two after I have a shop update, I have a pretty like significant jump in sales. I'm pulling up my analytics, which my Wi-Fi is being a tad slow, so give me just 1 second.
Emiline, you're doing this you're doing your social media push primarily on what, Instagram and TikTok, you said?
Yes, I started out on TikTok because, well, I started out on Instagram and then I neglected it for like several months, so it died. So I went over to TikTok because I primarily do fan art stickers. I have some more original work that I'm working on, but right now I'm primarily doing fan art stickers. And for the fandoms that I'm creating artwork for, a large part of that user base is on TikTok rather than like Facebook, which I don't touch Facebook because they're all in their like teens to mid 20s and none of them are on Facebook. Right. So I started with TikTok for that.
And this is all basically, I assume, I've just recently got on TikTok, so I'm figuring that out. But I know Instagram, it's basically just the link in bio, unless you have enough followers where you can link directly from your posts. And I assume TikTok's pretty much the same, right?
Yes.
Is that difficult to convert? Because it's not like, I mean, I definitely understand that your audience isn't on Facebook, and I'm not a fan of Facebook, but at least with Facebook, you can put a post and you put a link directly in that post, whereas there's a bunch of extra steps to get them from your post on Instagram and I assume TikTok as well. But you're saying that's converting for you?
Honestly, yeah, because with both TikTok and Instagram, all they have to do is like click on your profile and then click on the link in your bio, which TikTok, you can add a link to your bio once you hit 1,000 followers, I believe, which on TikTok, it is, I think, the easiest platform to gain followers quickly because it is pretty easy to go viral, because unlike other social media platforms, which a lot of time like Instagram, especially right now, and kind of Facebook and Twitter, it's kind of not quite a pay to win, but they do heavily encourage you to pay for advertising space. Whereas on TikTok, if you find a trending audio, which trends on TikTok go extremely fast, like within days. But if you find a trending audio on TikTok, you can have like 1,000 followers and then get a video that gets like 80,000 views and then gain a lot more followers. Which, like on TikTok, I went from like, I'd have to find the exact numbers because I screenshot when I like hit milestones so that I can remember them. But on TikTok, I jumped it from like 1,000 followers up like to 5,000 within like a couple days because of one video that did really well.
Yeah, I started on TikTok. I mean, I had an account, but I hadn't posted anything. I just started posting, I think maybe last week. And right now they're getting just as much views as Instagram, which I've been on forever. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, TikTok is helpful. Another reason why I find TikTok to be incredibly helpful. Sorry, I have to close down some apps because my computer is heating up. One of the reasons that I do find TikTok to be very helpful is because the editing software within TikTok, I film all my videos directly in TikTok, which is very helpful because it streamlines it a lot. And that also means that I post those videos to TikTok, and there's this website that's called snaptic.com or .org, I think. And it lets you download your TikToks without watermarks. And then I can just repost them on Instagram as Reels.
Oh, cool.
Because Instagram Reels are primarily what gets views for me.
Yeah.
And
that's all I'm posting are Reels and TikTok. And YouTube Shorts. They start as YouTube Shorts, and then I push them to the other platforms. But
yeah, it's honestly, it's been helpful. Yeah, pulling up my stats. I believe I started doing more social media and doing actual planned shop updates around May is when or March and May, and we get to pull up the numbers because despite being an artsy person, I do really like numbers and spreadsheets.
That's good. Yeah, you'll do well if you like that. That's the problem is most artists don't want to do that kind of stuff. And
no, I love I was making I got excited and like stayed up late making a spreadsheet, which is not a thing people should get excited about. But yeah, for this year in January and February, I had around $600 to $700 in sales each month. And in March, I started pushing social media more, and it went up to about $1,200. Nice. And April, it went back down because I was out of the country for a while, so I had to close my shop. But in May was my highest month, which had over $2,000 in sales. So a pretty big jump within like 4 months from about 600 to 2,000. Mm-hmm. Largely because I started pushing it on social media. Because on Etsy, people I found are primarily just browsing, and it seems like they're more likely to just, oh, this is a cool shop, I'll buy like 1 or 2 things from it. Where if it's on social media and I've announced that I have a shop update, they're like preparing for it and they're getting excited, and they'll place like, I think the highest order from an individual person I've had was like $130, mm-hmm. which is fairly significant and not really just, oh, I was browsing, this is fun. This was like, they found it and they're like, wow, I'm going to think about this. That's a significant, it's less of a significant chunk of money for you. I'm still in university, so it's a higher amount of money for me.
No, that's great. And it's primarily stickers, right? So these are, I would assume, fairly low price items. And I don't know.
Well, there's also buttons and prints as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The thing that I sell the most of would be stickers, which my stickers, they used to be $3. They're now $3.50 because inflation and shipping prices keep going up. But I also have prints, like postcard size prints, and those ones are $6. And I have 8.5 by 11 prints, and those ones are $15. And then I have button pins, which are usually $3, $4, $6, so $2 each. But if you're uploading anything on Etsy, if you do anything less than like $3, you're really not going to be making that much money from it, because Etsy takes so many fees that aren't just flat percentages. It's like 20 cents plus 30 cents plus 6% or whatever. But if your thing is only $2, then like almost $1 of that is immediately gone. Like, oh, where's one of my spreadsheets?
And
One
are
of
you
my
you're sorry, go ahead.
like I did this would be, I guess, cost analysis, or figure out all the different fees that Etsy takes and my manufacturing costs and my packaging costs and taxes and all of that. Selling a single button pin on Etsy for $2 for just that, my profit margin was like a little bit less than 30%. Selling 3 of them for $6, which technically is still $2 a button pin, that raised my profit margin to over 50%, which is why you can't really sell things for less than $3 because you're really not going to be making that much money.
Are your stickers and buttons, are they packed individually? Are they packed as sets, or how does that work? Or do you offer discounts for if they order so many? Or
the way that I usually do it is most of my stickers are just individual stickers. Some of them, if they're smaller stickers, it'll be like 3 for $6, and I'll have a spot where they have to like specify which 3 stickers they want. I do them in packs sometimes if I'm selling at in-person events, but usually for Etsy it's just single stickers. And some of them, if it's a single listing with like 3 variations of a design, if they get all 3 of them, they get like a slight discount on it, which inclines people to buy it more. So benefits.
And are your buttons, what are they like? Are they like 1-inch buttons or different sizes?
They are 1.25 inches,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
My stickers and my buttons I make myself. I manufacture them myself.
Mhm.
And my prints I get printed from a third party.
Okay.
Who are you printing with?
Is it cat print?
It is cat print,
Yeah, I use cat print.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
The only
The
problem
quality
is
for the cost is insane. Yeah.
their affiliate thing, because I did a video. If you search printing for cat print on YouTube, my video will probably come up. So I've sent tons of people their way, and and their affiliate thing is like they give you $10 off an order, but and first I have to like contact them and I said, can I combine these, because you're not supposed to, but I mean I've sent so much stuff their way and I don't order that many, so it's like $10. That's nothing compared to the amount of people that I'm sending your way. But other than that, yeah, cat print's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I haven't looked into their affiliate program much, but
Yeah.
also like the quality is good, and because you can order in smaller quantities, whereas a lot of other printing places you have to get 500. I'm not selling 500 of a single design. I'm selling like 5 to 20 of like 5 different designs. And they're like not related to their quality, but their customer service is also just really great. Like they sent me some prints where like a good chunk of them had printing errors, and they just sent me replacements for them. Like they're great.
That's awesome.
So I have a question as far as shipping. So if you get an order that's just stickers, are you just sending those regular, just a standard like post? Can you put those in a letter and an envelope and send them, or how do you package those up and send them? And how much is that cutting into? Or I assume there's additional cost for the shipping and everything. And do you ship through the Etsy thing or?
That's a complicated question, because I do multiple things for that.
Okay.
When I'm shipping just stickers, I have these envelopes that are craft envelopes, so they're less see-through and they're a little bit sturdier. And I put the stickers into like a plastic bag and I put them in that, and I put a stamp on it. Yeah, that's what I do for stickers. Because if somebody's buying like a $3 sticker, they're not really going to want to pay $4 in shipping.
Right.
So I offer, for all my stickers and my smaller prints, I just do free shipping with it, and it's incorporated into the cost. Like when I did my cost benefit analysis with my really fun spreadsheet, I added 63 cents, which is the current price of stamps. I added that just as a cost, so that I know
that is definitely a benefit to stickers, because they're so lightweight and they're small enough that you can send them as long as they don't get bent or whatever. So like you said, if you got a nice little stiffer envelope, I
also, when I'm shipping prints, which my smaller prints I also ship via stamps, I used to have these very rigid envelopes that were like essentially thick, like thin cardboard, like thicker than cereal box cardboard. But those ones, the envelopes themselves cost like 40 cents, and then I had to put 2 stamps on it, so it was like $1.50 in just packaging costs. So I switched to slightly thinner envelopes, and I put a piece of like thicker paper, almost cardstock, in it. and I usually put a do not bin sticker on it.
Yeah.
Because for me, even if it does get bent or like lost in the postal service, which if you don't have tracking on something, they get lost sometimes. The postal service has lost a decent amount of my orders, which thanks for that. But because, especially since I make all of my stickers myself, my manufacturing costs for a single sticker is like in cents. Like it's very small. So I can afford to just send them a new sticker.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's tracked shipping every time, I can't really afford to replace somebody's tracked order for like $5. That's less feasible. But if I'm doing larger prints, which are bigger than the postal service allows letters to be sent, or if I'm doing button pins, which are shipped in, I have like 5x7 bubble mailer envelopes.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones I do ship with Etsy's shipping labels because it's slightly cheaper than the post office, and then it's just more convenient than to have to go and wait in line at the post office every time.
That's
if
awesome.
you start doing more of that type of shipping, Emiline, are you familiar with Pirate Ship?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I use them
Pirate
before.
Ship. Okay, Pirate Ship is awesome.
Yeah, I think they're around. They might be a little bit cheaper than Etsy, but honestly, Etsy gives you a fairly discounted rate. And also, just because on Etsy, all I have to do is basically click print a shipping label and then put in a little bit of information like the weight and the size, and they'll print it all for me. Whereas Pirate Ship, I would have to go and copy and paste it and put all in manually. But it can be more convenient. Also, I'm for things where people are doing shipping labels, they are paying for the shipping, not me. So it doesn't impact my costs whether or not I use Pirate Ship or Etsy.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, on social media, when you mention TikTok or something else, what is that content like? Like, are you dancing to those trends, or are you just saying, "I've got a sticker, buy it"?
Honestly,
what does that kind of look like?
Most of what I am posting, I've experimented with a couple of different things just to see what does better, and I need to start experimenting again because my views have gotten low. So I need to re-experiment things. But most of what I do is I will find an audio that I either like how it sounds or it just happens to be trending. And even if the trend is like they're doing a dance or they're doing some other thing, I essentially am showing just like holding up my product like a sticker, and like after like a second I switch to a different, like jump cut to a different product, and I'll just show like 5 to 10 products in a single video. And sometimes I'll do voiceovers talking about it or talking about something else completely random. Like for one of the fandoms that I posted artwork for, I was like, I think there's people who follow me who aren't in this fandom. So if you are in this fandom, comment an out of context quote from this fandom, because I think it'd be funny. And I had like a couple thousand followers at the time, and that video got like 80 to 90,000 views, which was nuts. And I don't know how many people, like I don't know directly how many sales I got from that, but it definitely, like 80,000 people seeing a singular video and then getting a lot more followers from that. They're seeing my future videos too, which is just more convenient. Also, because I am in university full-time and working a different part-time job, the lower effort but still decently looking content I can get, the better. And to film a singular TikTok video like that, it takes me like less than a minute. And sometimes they'll get like 300 views, and sometimes they'll get like 20,000 views. And if you do enough of them, some of them are bound to do well. So
that's, I have a question just regarding Etsy, because it's been a long time since I've used Etsy. Do they have analytics to show you where traffic is coming from? Like
they do,
kind of like a website would?
Yeah. On they have a page on Etsy that's stats, and it tells you if it's coming directly from Etsy or if it's coming from social media, and if it is social media, which social media platforms they're coming from.
Nice.
And mine is telling me some are coming from Facebook, which is bizarre because I don't have a business Facebook. And even within
maybe
that,
it's somebody linking your
Etsy
stuff.
Yeah,
or it could be it could be somebody in our age range, like who's like saying, "Oh, this was a cool thing on Etsy. Like you guys should check it out." That might be it.
That's
But another
true.
thing I was thinking is, so then if you really wanted to dig into it, could you actually track conversions from TikTok? Just that go from TikTok to
Probably.
your Etsy or whatever?
Probably. Etsy doesn't they don't recognize Etsy exactly as a social media platform. They categorize it under direct and other traffic.
Oh, okay.
But I believe they refresh it fairly recently. And like it'll tell you which websites are sending traffic. Like I can see which ones are coming from my old website and which ones
Yeah.
came from TikTok or my
That's
link
great.
tree.
So you can kind of, it's good they have that analytics so you can kind of see what's working. That's awesome.
Yeah. I also do have people, because when they order on Etsy, they can leave little messages with their order. I have had multiple people who just left a message. They're like, I saw your stuff on Instagram, or I saw your stuff on TikTok. It's so cool. I would like to buy
Nice.
it. I'm like, thanks. Thanks for the data analytics and also the money and support. I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
It's helpful on many levels.
Just wanted to let the chat know. Hi, Ronnie. Hi, Jim, and hi, Keeman. Sorry, we had a couple people, so I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge them.
Yeah, and we have a couple people that have joined us since we introduced. So let's do that old radio thing. If you're just now joining us, Emiline is talking about taking sales from about $600 to about $2,000 per month on Etsy, and she's selling her own artwork that she's producing for different fandoms. And so we thought it would be interesting to kind of pick her brain, because I feel like I'm not doing as well as I want to do with my t-shirts. And so I've done stickers in the past, and I've been really considering getting back into stickers. I think my current line of Esoteric Crumble Flex would have to be pretty large stickers, just because of the way I'm doing them. They're really detailed, but I think I would be willing to kind of like experiment with that, because I think I might be able to get some more that I'm getting on t-shirts, because it's a lower price item. It's easier to ship. I don't know. Maybe I wear more t-shirts than a lot of people do, because I have gotten some feedback that, oh, I love your stuff, but I just don't wear t-shirts. I'm like, oh, who doesn't wear t-shirts? But apparently don't wear t-shirts. But anyway, so it's something that I've been considering. So, yeah. So anyway, so just to catch everybody up, and if you guys have any questions about selling your artwork online, all four of us have done a number of different things, and so that's kind of what we're talking about today. Okay, so you're doing a few hundred to occasionally a couple thousand per month in top line sales. You're seeing a pretty significant increase, more than double, it sounds like, when you do when you're doing promotion on social media, which is for you mostly Instagram and TikTok. And we've been talking a lot about TikTok. Are you seeing, you said you mentioned that you saw a lot of traffic from Reels.
Yes.
Are you seeing that convert much?
I believe so, yes. I'd have to look again, because one second. Again, I do, because Instagram, most social media apps do have pretty good analytics, but I just like having screenshots sometimes of how things are doing. I'd have to find it.
So I'm kind of curious. Oh, I guess while you're looking, it might be cool to also find out, because we have a friend who does a lot of like Power Rangers related art and stuff, and has like an Etsy shop, and he kind of ran into some issues with licensing, it kind of cracking down on Etsy with certain things. So I was just kind of curious if that's ever been like a thing that's come up, like, and then how you sort of label, if somebody out there is doing like fan art or whatever, how do you kind of label or tag your work so that it can stay up?
That is an excellent question. And the legal side of it, I am not quite qualified to talk about. I'm not a legal expert. And
of course. Yeah. Not asking for legal advice.
Yeah.
I'm just more curious about searchability and,
Yes. Honestly, the way that I do it is sometimes like there are certain copyright holders that are a lot more harsh with it. I think that on some things Disney is a lot harsher with it. I found like Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, those are a lot more with it. Sometimes Minecraft, sometimes Avatar. Honestly, as far as like legal things goes, if somebody has an issue with their thing and they tell Etsy will just take it down and tell you not to upload it again. And if you don't upload it again, that's usually the end of it. Sometimes Etsy will place like a hold and like hold onto a lot of your payments for like 3 months, which is really annoying.
Oof.
And if it goes too far, they'll like take down your Etsy shop, which hasn't happened, but I worry about it sometimes. So I'm making a website with my shop just in case. But as far as listing it goes, usually if I have something taken down in a fandom and I'm worried about it happening to other pieces of merch that I have in that fandom, or if I just think something is likely to be taken down, I will avoid putting the exact name in the title, and I'll put it in the tags, which I think sometimes can still lead to copyright issues. But if it's like Minecraft or something, I'll usually put MC Block Game in the title, and then in the tags I'll put Minecraft, and people can usually still find it as Minecraft. And another one that I did, which was technically a Disney property, which is The Owl House, which is an animated TV show. And that one I was more worried about it getting taken down, so I don't think anywhere I said The Owl House. I might have put Owl House in the tag maybe, but that one I created largely because a lot of people on my social media asked for it.
Yeah.
So I knew that even if people wouldn't be able to find it through Etsy, there was a significant amount of people who were finding it from my social media because they would come and look at my shop and be like, oh, it's the Owl House. Duh.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't say it in the title.
No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense too. Like, I could imagine if somebody was doing another example would be like if you're doing like Studio Ghibli stuff or something.
If it's anything Studio Ghibli, I think they are notoriously harsh with their copyright. So, like, if it's anything Ghibli, put like
I think
Cat Bitch who works.
Yeah, and also
don't put Ghibli,
some of those figures are so iconic.
Yeah.
Some are so iconic that you wouldn't have to put a name like next to them, you know. So
it can hurt searchability sometimes, but also something that can just be helpful is finding fandoms that largely don't get attacked for copyright. Like,
for sure.
I have fan art for a Minecraft roleplay series, which these Minecraft streamers are probably not going to go on Etsy and be like, this person is selling stickers of my Minecraft character. How dare they?
Yeah,
like,
and my son would be obsessed with that stuff because he's like so into Minecraft. So,
but like, whereas if I have strictly Minecraft stuff, that will get taken down sometimes. But like, or what else? Avatar: The Last Airbender. I had 4 prints for it. It was basically Avatar: The Last Airbender locations, but as if they were national park postcards.
Oh, nice.
And like 2 of them were taken down for copyright, and the other 2 weren't. I don't really know why. I don't know. It's complicated. I don't understand how it works or how they figure it all out. So if you try these things and they don't work, I have no idea. If Etsy gets mad at you for it, don't post it again unless you're feeling daring. Then I don't know. You could get in more trouble. But
no, that's a good point. I was mainly asking because we have a viewer who would probably be really into knowing that. So okay, cool.
Yeah.
I know, Corey, you're gonna love this. The answer is it depends.
It depends. That's what we talked about today. Yeah. I had a whole class today where I had a bunch of seniors that were all trying to get me to get them specific answers, and I'm like, it completely depends. Like, you know, like they're like, well, should I do this or this? I'm like, it depends on what it is that you're trying to say. So they're all doing their case study for the semester on like what they produced, and I'm like, it depends on what you're trying to say with your case study. So yeah.
But Corey, what should I say? Right?
Exactly. Yeah, there's a couple of them that you can tell they're trying not to look frustrated that I'm not just telling them what I want them to do. I'm like, I want you to do what you think is going to work. That's what I want you to do. Yeah, it does depend. So yeah, so that's really interesting. So as you're kind of doing this, how many of these would you say are kind of like a strategic move, and how many of these are you like, oh, I love the show and I'm going to do it no matter whether it makes sense or not? Like I've seen you talked about Owl House, I've seen Gravity
Mhm.
Falls, like those are the same creator
Yeah.
and they're both on Disney.
Yeah.
Um,
Those
I
ones,
mean,
for some
they're
reason, they haven't been attacked yet, which is kind of making me nervous because I feel like they will be at some point.
Gravity
But
Falls,
yeah,
man,
sorry.
that is everywhere. Like
Yeah.
everybody's doing Gravity Falls stuff right now.
Maybe it's just because it's hard to copyright Gravity Falls because it's not a distinctive name like something like Captain America. That's like, oh, that's Captain America, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's less distinctive.
I
I
don't
haven't
know.
been able to figure it
I
out.
feel like they just haven't been going after it for some reason. I mean, the creator who did both of those, he did a lot
Yeah.
more real world stuff in Gravity Falls. Like
Mhm.
there's actually monuments where he gave clues in the show of where like
Oh,
a bill triangle is in the forest, and like
yeah,
people
and
found
people,
it and stuff. Yeah.
that show was nuts. I wasn't watching it when it first came out because it came out like 10 years ago, but man, it's so weird that people like are still actively buying things from it. Yeah, I guess going back to your question, there are, I think if I get a lot of requests for something, sometimes I'll make things for it. Even if, like, for the Owl House, I've seen like 2 episodes. I probably won't finish it. So I made one piece of fan art that took like an hour and a half. And I'm like, cool, this will satisfy the Owl House people. But something like Gravity Falls, where I do really like that show, I will just keep making stuff for it. And it is a benefit that it does also sell pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And there are fandoms where I'm like, will this sell really well? Maybe not. But I think it'd be fun because like once you're making your own stickers, an added bonus is you get those stickers, you just have stickers and you can put them on things and it's just great. So some of them are more strategic things, especially if I know that a particular like fandom is really popular with my audience and also I like that fandom. I'm more likely to keep making things in that fandom, like Minecraft. A large part of my audience loves Minecraft, so I'll make things for Minecraft series that I haven't seen, or I'll just keep making Minecraft content because I know that they like that and they will buy it, which is, it's a bonus if you also like it. And I've had some artists tell me that like, oh, you shouldn't make things for fandoms that you're not fully in because people will be able to tell and it like won't have the same spirit. And it's also great if your art has spirit in it and stuff, but I've seen like clips from the show. I know vaguely what it's about. I think it's cool. I just am not actively watching it. So, but people want it. So I'm going to make content for it because they will buy it and I need to pay rent.
Yeah. That's great. Well, let's do either of you guys have any more questions about Etsy itself? Because I'm kind of interested in jumping over to like production and stuff too. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I was
sure.
gonna ask kind of about how much time do you spend doing the artwork and things like that. Let me think as far as Etsy. I know I asked a few of those questions. As far as I was going to ask how many SKUs you have, but I'm kind of going through your Etsy shop, so I see you've got quite a few, 3 pages worth. And then yeah, so I'm just so yeah, I'm kind of ready to. I'm curious to dive into the production part of it too. I don't know. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, let's do it.
okay, yeah. And before we do that, Thomas has a question. Have you made stickers of your own creations? And you mentioned kind of at the top that you're starting to move into more of your own
Yeah.
intellectual property. Talk about that for a minute.
I think, I mean, the most recent one that I did was I started using Adobe Illustrator a lot more because I have access to that as a student, which is awesome. So I've been starting to use Adobe Illustrator more to find things. And I have done some, the most recent series that I did was of 3 stickers of these vintage items, like an old telephone and an old TV that had like vines and moss growing over them. And I think I've sold like one of those because I only uploaded it like a week ago. So I've sold like one, which is cool. Um, Something else that I've recently started doing for original artwork is I like to put little freebie stickers in with my orders sometimes because I think that it's fun. And on Etsy, people like to get little freebie stickers. It makes them really happy. But I put like a QR code. I design a sticker around a QR code and then I put that in as a freebie sticker. And it's only like an inch tall, so it doesn't take terribly long to make. But all of those have been not based really on a fandom. Like I did a sword and a stone, and in the stone there was a QR code for my link tree, which this is a little bit closer into the businessy side of it, but that link tree was a link tree that I made specifically only to put on my sticker QR code business cards. So then I can see exactly how many people from my Etsy shop are actually scanning these QR codes and which links they're clicking. So I've been doing that for a couple months now. Today I just finished designing my freebie sticker for July. Because, I mean, some people, I think one person who's like, oh, I missed the sticker for June. For May, if I order in June, can you still give me like one of the May stickers? And I was like, sure. Like it's an inch tall sticker. It's not costing me a lot to make, but yeah, that's a little bit more of the original work that I've done. I do want to start doing more, but also fan art again does sell a lot better. So I'm trying to find original work that I like that also still appeals to people kind of in that range, like in that audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but
I'm just looking at while I'm on your Etsy shop. I just so I'm looking at this one. I assume this is from something that I'm not familiar with, but I found it funny. But the one that says it's a bread sandwich.
Yes, yeah,
Where's that from?
that is from a show on Netflix called The Dragon Prince.
Okay,
it's an animated show. It's a little bit kind of the same vibes as Avatar: The Last Airbender, but
really?
Closer to
because I love Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, there's like elves and dragons, and it's pretty good.
That's good.
That's one of the fandoms that hasn't really come after me for any copyright things. So it's also a smaller fan base, and so there's less creators who are making things for it. So I have a decent amount of sales from that fandom just because there's less people who make it. But yeah, that is a quote from The Dragon Prince, which again, it's incredibly niche. One character says it one time in like season 2 and people buy it. Like it's fun. It's yeah.
And me not even be familiar with it, I found it funny and clever. So
that's cool. Okay, so let's talk production because I'll just kind of kick this off. But like I use Printful and I do print on demand for like t-shirts, mugs, laptop cases, hoodies, things like that. I was doing stickers before I got into like the current series that I've been working on for the last 6 months. And so, but with that, because stickers are so small, they store really easily. I just have them like in a drawer, or like a shoebox or something like there. And you can get hundreds of them for really inexpensive. But one of the things is I might have a design where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to sell. And I printed, so initially I did like a sticker stint, where I made a new sticker every day for 30 days.
Right.
And I printed a minimum run of each one of those designs, and some of them I've never sold one, and some of them I've sold, out multiple times and had to kind of like reorder. And so, not that I regret any of that. It's all good data, but like, a lot of my like overall profit margin got eaten up by designs that like didn't move.
Yeah.
And so there is a really kind of appealing option to be able to kind of produce your own stickers. I have several concerns. And so I'll just say all the things that I'm worried about that I don't know. And then you can tell me, that's
Give you all the answers.
And that's always going to be a problem. And yeah, whatever. Right. So, one is, I have a buddy at work that got a Cricut and he has struggled with it, and he's way smarter than I am. And like, so every time I see this individual struggle with something, I'm like, that's probably something I don't have the time or inclination to figure out. So Cricut seems like that's what everybody is using, but also it seems kind of weird and problematic. The second one is printing on vinyl is kind of concerning. Third one is those types of activities tend to like eat up a ton of time. Like the material costs seem to be really low, but for some reason, me personally, printers like absolutely hate me. Like I think I give off some sort of pheromone that just disgusts them or something because they just like do not function correctly. And so talk us through I'm not even kidding. At work, like my wife will, because we went about 14 years of our marriage without owning a printer because I just hate them so much. And finally my daughter was like, Dad, I am going to school and I need to be able to print stuff at home. So I went out and big spender that I am, I bought a $27 printer. And that's what she gets to print her homework on. But anyway, whenever we need to print something, I have the option at work to like pay for it myself. But I end up like printing it like 4 or 5 times because it's always problematic. So I don't know if that's just me or if that's I'm whatever.
No, I think.
So,
let's see. I'm trying to think back. Well, the first question.
Well, okay. So my concerns are Cricut. And my main concerns are like how time consuming it is to be able to do this. So are you like, do you print and cut a sticker as it's ordered? Or do you like I'm going to do 5 of these. I'm going to do a sheet of these. And then if I run out, I'll do some more. Or like, what's your kind of process with like how many of those you're printing and cutting?
Usually the way that I do it is within the Cricut software, you can like arrange the size of the sticker and how many you want on a particular sheet. And usually if it's a new design of sticker that I haven't tested out before, I'll print one, which is usually 9 to 12 stickers, and I'll cut all of those out and I'll have them in stock. Sometimes if I'm printing multiple designs on one sheet and then I'll only have like 2 or 3 copies of a sticker, I will set the stock to like 8, and then I'll only have 2. That way, if it sells a lot, people can still buy a lot and I can just make more. But if it doesn't sell at all, then I've only had 2 stickers that I have to hold on to instead of like 20. It is a lot easier for me if usually once or twice a week, I'll spend like around 2 hours just printing out stickers and cutting them all out for things that I'm low in stock on, or things that I miscounted my stock and I have to make more things for because I don't have any and I've sold like 6. But usually, because again, like I'm working part-time, I do commissions sometimes, I'm working on portfolios, going to school full-time, and I still do have the time to spend 4 to 6 hours a week, sometimes less. Sometimes it's a lot less, but just printing and cutting out stickers. So yeah, sometimes I do just have in stock what I'm selling or be selling what I have in stock. Sometimes I'll set my stock higher. There was the only time I ever had an issue with this was where my printer abruptly stopped printing good quality. And I was like, shoot, I need to ship all these stickers that I don't have. So some of the stickers I did have to print at a slightly lower quality because I didn't have a way to print them high quality. And I just like sent a note to the buyer that like, I'm sorry, this is not the best quality I wanted. Here's some extra stickers. I'm sorry. Which people who are buying Minecraft stickers on the internet are generally chill people. So I haven't had anybody that's been like, how dare you sell me stickers that have visible print lines if you hold them up to your face like this. That's atrocious. But like, yeah. As far as struggles with printers, the first printer that I had that my parents got me because they were very supportive of this business venture, and they bought me a printer. This was an HP DeskJet, and that printer was like a $70 to $80 printer, which was fine. That one did give me many, many issues. The current printer, like it was serviceable, it worked, but I struggled with it a lot. The current printer that I have is a Canon Pixma, which I have found that the less ways there are for something to go wrong with the printer, it's so much easier to print. Like so many printers now are like, this connects wirelessly with Bluetooth. Don't use Bluetooth. It's such a pain. Like I have a cord that plugs into the back of my computer and plugs into my laptop, and then it prints. Sometimes, like my recent printer, it was having quality issues, which I think because I switched to an off-brand ink, and then after a while it just messed with the print head.
I've had that problem.
But the problem is that the printer was $200. The ink replacement for Canon ink is like literally $80. It's absurd. I could either replace the ink twice, or I could just buy a new printer. It is like more financially like feasible to buy a new printer every 6 months than to buy Canon ink.
Yeah.
It's absurd. Like the off-brand ink, it's a little bit lower quality, and sure, it might mess up my print head, but I'm not spending half the price of the printer on ink. That's ridiculous. But yeah, Canon Pixma has given me a lot less issues because it's not connecting to Wi-Fi. It's not connecting to Bluetooth. If it's like, oh, this is a little bit streaky, I can run an alignment check, or I can run a print head cleaning, which usually resolves the issue. I think the brand HP, I personally would not use that, and I've had other artists who still sell their stickers recommend that you stay away from that. Canon Pixma IP, then some numbers, and then IX, and then some numbers. Those ones are pretty good quality printers. They work very well for stickers.
I'm curious. Do laser printers, would that work? Are there vinyl printing sheets that work with laser jets? Because laser jets, you can do like insanely high output.
I've got these. I haven't tried them, but these are usually it's either or. But I found these that say laser jet. What's that?
I've used that brand. That's not my favorite brand.
It's not. I haven't really used them, but I just because it says it's for inkjet and laser. Because before I was using chemical labels before, and they were kind of pricey. But if you were using inkjet, you had to get the laser or the inkjet version. If you use the laser, it would mess up, and vice versa. So I bought those because it says both. Yeah,
for what I've heard from other artists is that laser printers, I believe, I'm not terribly educated in laser printers, so feel free to correct me. I believe laser printers are a lot faster, and they don't use ink, do they?
They use like a powder.
It's essentially like a copy machine. It's like a color copy machine.
So you don't end up with always the highest quality, depending on especially the notable thing on a laser jet that you're going to see a big difference with is the color accuracy is a little less. And then the biggest issue is usually with the blacks, because it kind of does what a fiery print does, where it'll raise the black quite often. And so especially if you're printing on like a glossy page, it stands out a bit. But yeah, it'd be interesting to explore, because just if you're talking about like cost ratios, the ink on a laser jet just gets so much traction. But the ink is way expensive to replace on a laser jet. It's like 1,000 or something, I think, from what I recall. So
the current type of off-brand ink that I was using, that it could have been something else that happened with my printer because other artists have used this ink with no issue. Yeah. It was like $20 for like 15 cartridges. Like it was an absurd amount of ink. It was a really good deal, and it worked for like 6 months. So like
I've got a Canon Pixma 2, and I eventually just stopped printing blue, and I've run print heads and everything, and now it doesn't do anything. But yeah, I mean, literally I could get 2 of every one of my colors for like $11 at one point versus probably twice that for one color of the Canon.
Yeah, that's how they get you. And then you void your warranty if you use off-brand inks, which is a little unfortunate. But that's how they get you. They're like, oh, it's a $200 printer for this quality. That's pretty good. The ink is $80.
Most printers are actually sold as a loss leader. So
they have to be. There's no way they can.
Yeah, so like Canon and a lot of these companies, like they sell you the printer at a loss. Like, so what you're paying at retail is actually less than they spent to manufacture it and ship it. But it's like they do it with the knowledge that, they're going to make that money back tenfold with, the cost of inks.
Joke's on them. I'm not buying their ink.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that what I've heard other artists say is that inkjet printers are specifically not really good for art prints if you're printing art prints yourself, which a lot of artists do.
Yeah.
I think just because stickers, at least for me, it is really important that they are as high quality as possible, just because it's so small, so there's so little room for error.
Yeah.
Like if it's streaky or the colors aren't quite right, like it's going to be pretty noticeable on like a 3-inch sticker.
Yeah,
So I think
100%.
inkjet printers, I believe, are what most sticker printers do use.
Okay.
And for printing on vinyl, specifically vinyl sticker paper, I went through a lot of different types of sticker paper. It's very easy to find. Like if you go to Walmart, you can get, yes, they're ink companies, not printer companies. Yes, they get you on the ink. Like if you go to Walmart, you can find like really terrible sticker paper that's literally paper that's like sticky on the back. And that's like not good quality. I went through specifically a lot of vinyl sticker paper trying to find a good glossy one, because there are decent matte ones which can be printed on pretty easily. The brand that I have now, I'd have to pull it up on Amazon, because a lot of sticker paper that's advertised as very high quality, it can get a lot more expensive, which I try to avoid expensive things. The one, Scott, that you held up, that one I did originally try, and it might be different with a Canon printer because I haven't tried that. When I tried it with my HP printer, the ink never really dried. Like you would touch it like hours later and it would get ink all over your hands. The one that I currently use, I do not know for the life of me how to say this brand. It looks like this.
It looks very generic and like not. I wouldn't judge me by that. I if I saw that online, I'd like that's sketchy looking. What? So what is that called? Can you hold that up again? I'm going to write it down on this.
I can. The brand is GWYBKQ.
That might be the most generic brand I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, I know.
Are there any vowels in that?
No.
Okay.
I think that's their stock option number actually too. That's what it sounds like.
Right, yeah.
No, that's like that's their logo on the corner of their thing. Like
nice.
Yeah, it does look like a very generic one. I don't believe I've had people like put it on their cars and tell me that like if it's in water a lot, it will like start to wash off. But this one, it's like $20, less than $20 for 50 sheets, which is a lot cheaper than a lot of other sticker brands. This company, their matte sticker paper for this company, that one scratches off. So don't use this one.
Okay.
But the glossy paper, that is one of the few glossy sticker papers that I've found that it will dry and it doesn't like come off. I'd have to find one of my stickers that I printed with it. But honestly, like the pros and cons. Pros, it works with the printer that I have. It's pretty cheap. It's pretty, like the color doesn't really scratch off. The sticker itself, if you just like take the backing off and like try to tear it at like a seam, it can tear. But generally people put stickers onto things, so they're not trying to tear it. It's not the most waterproof, but it is water resistant, which is nice because a lot of people put them on water bottles. And
I was using these chemical labels because they're supposed to be waterproof.
Mm-hmm.
But they're expensive. They're like $50 for a pack of 50, so about a buck a sheet. So,
they're expensive. This, like, I went through a lot of different sticker papers before I found this one, and I probably could find a higher quality one that's also pretty cheap, but for now this one works well for me. I had some matte stickers, but the quality, again, like it would scratch off. So yeah, it was trial and error to find a sticker paper that worked with my printer and was decent quality.
That's great.
Have you tried to do any of the coating, like the laminate that gives it like UV protection and stuff like that?
I have seen a lot of artists who have done the laminate. I currently do not. I think primarily because that just adds on an additional step that mostly is if you're printing on matte paper and you want to make it glossy and you want to make it like more durable. And for me, because the sticker paper is already water resistant and it is fairly durable, it's not an extra step that I feel is necessary to go and buy a laminator and buy a bunch of laminate sheets. And then every time I make stickers, I have to put the laminate on there. And that's just another thing that can mess up the Cricut, or another thing that can mess up the stickers themselves. And it is a thing that a lot of people do, I think. And it can give you like more durable and probably higher quality stickers. But for me, the pros and cons just aren't measuring out at this point, because time and money are not the highest.
Yeah, like I
So-
feel like if if your business were to like explode, you could invest, a significant chunk of money for like a UV printer or something that's, more like going to handle, and just the print itself, will have but I mean, when you're a small business, you deal with what you can deal with, like, that's awesome though. That answers one of my questions, because the whole time I hear about people printing their own vinyl stickers, I think back to my days playing in bands and stuff, where we'd make stickers, and sometimes you'd buy stickers that you'd sell at shows, and people put them on their car because they want to support your band. And then, like, if the manufacturer was bad, it's like, the sticker would just be a blur and just a white blob or whatever on their car. And now they have this thing stuck on their car. And that was a concern of mine. Not that even the best vinyl stickers eventually kind of wear out on a car, but you want it to have some durability. So I was curious about like the water resistance and all of that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think I had somebody message me on Etsy, and they asked me like, how well would this hold up if I put it on a car? And I'm like, well, they're not waterproof, they're water resistant. I've never put it on a car.
Yeah.
And I think just today he got back to me and he sent me pictures, and he's like, after, driving it around for a while, a couple car washes, like he bought it like beginning of May. So this is a while ago. And he was like, yeah, after a couple car washes, like it is kind of smudging off and stuff. So I'm probably going to buy more and put them inside my car. And I'm like, okay, like I'm fine that he's buying more. And I did tell him that I'm like, I don't know how they're going to hold up on the car because they're not waterproof.
Yeah, I think as long as you're honest about it, that's good.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I think this still holds to this day, but unless it's like UV printed or something, it's like a lot of the best stickers are usually screen printed, like, with like 2 or 3 colors. At least back in the day, that was the most durable vinyl sticker you could get, would be screen print. And the equivalent of that would be like to do a UV printer, but UV printers cost like $50,000. So
I just looked. You can get some of them for like $1,500.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm sure there's
my
a
price range.
Oh yeah. No, $1,500 is still a lot of
but
money.
But if your business were to like explode, then like that range may not be that far. Yeah. So it's kind of, you got to scale to the size you can scale to. That's cool though. That's cool to hear about. Like, even if it's water resistant, that's definitely like miles away from the era when, if like, back in the day, if I were to print my own stickers, it would have like one drop of water and the whole thing would just blur. So
water resistant. Like, I wouldn't put it in a dishwasher, but if you hand wash it and like dry it immediately, you're probably okay to put it on a water bottle.
Yeah. Got it. That's awesome.
So, I mean, I think the most significant like technology investments that I've made recently for my business, I replaced my iPad Pro because I use that to make my stickers, and I bought a thermal label printer, which is time-wise the best investment I have made for this business, because for shipping stickers, since I shipped it with stamps, I would just hand write all of the addresses. But with a label printer, I can copy and paste the address and print it in like 5 minutes instead of spending like an hour writing it out. So if you're shipping like more than 20 orders a week, you should really buy a thermal label printer, and you can print on like little 1x2 stickers, and it doesn't require ink. All you have to do is plug it into the wall and plug it into your computer, and in like 5 minutes you can have like 30 labels, and you just stick that on instead of spending a minute and a half writing it out, which a minute and a half is not a lot of time, but a minute and a half times like 30 orders is tedious. Right. So that was next to replacing my iPad, that was a very good investment. That was I've only had it for like a month. Changed my life. I have more free time now to draw more stickers, so it's great.
That's awesome.
That's good. What are you using on your iPad? Are you using Procreate?
Yeah, I'm using Procreate. Like I said, I've started doing some more in Adobe Illustrator, but I prefer Procreate for most things.
Yeah, Illustrator is great for a lot of things, but it's not fast. That's one thing, especially with illustration. It's I wish it was named something else.
Because it's not for illustration.
Yeah, I mean you can use it for illustration, but
and it can be fast depending. Like if you need to do like line just specific single weight line illustrations, which applies a lot to what I do for my day job. It's like that's really fast, like Illustrator for that.
If I'm doing things that are like more text based or more shape based, then I'll probably do it in Illustrator. That's what I've started doing more. But if I'm doing anything that requires like, oh, I'm probably going to do shading on this or
any render. That's a smart call.
What are you doing the national park posters in?
That one I'm doing in Procreate.
Oh, really? Okay, because those would work great in Illustrator.
Yeah, you probably could do an Illustrator.
Yeah, Illustrator would be the
higher quality for it, but I didn't have Illustrator at the time I started doing those. So.
No, it makes sense. You got to work, like, again, you work with what you got, and that's kind of it's honestly pretty impressive what you've built so far. That's really been cool to hear about.
Kind of on that note, something that I feel like is very important is a lot of the time people don't start selling stickers or start their business or whatever because they're like, I don't have the money for it. When I started this, because again, like I was homeschooled growing up and my parents, like if we as kids were like, oh, I really want to do this thing. If we did like all the research and figured everything out and like start experimenting on our own, they would fund certain things. So they paid for my printer and my first printer and they paid for my Cricut, which they're great. But like as part of the first steps that I was doing for that, I was ordering like sheets of sticker paper from Alpha Graphics for like $1.50 and cutting every single sticker out by hand with scissors and putting them in like cheap white envelopes and handwriting all the addresses and doing that for like several weeks or months before I went and got a printer as like, because I had a friend who bought, I think I gave her my printer actually. And then she bought a Cricut and she bought all these different things and wholesale bought like a decent amount of stickers and then realized that she didn't like running an art shop, which is unfortunate because she's now sunk hundreds of dollars into it. So it's a lot better to find out that it's not for you, or if it is for you when you spend like $5 on it than rather like $500. Yeah. So you don't need a lot of money. You need like a pair of scissors and like $1.50 and a stamp and you're set. Like it's more convenient to have a nice printer and to have a Cricut, but you can cut them out by hand. You'll just hurt your hands after a while. So,
yeah, I like that idea though. Like, kind of start with what you've got. And the other thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure Scott can attest to this too, but like we've noticed, there's a lot of people in the comics community that will speak for years about, I'm going to make a comic this time, and they never do. And they're always like, well, I'm going to acquire all this stuff. I'm going to acquire all this stuff. So they get more and more tools and supplies and stuff like that. And meanwhile, they never actually pull the trigger. And it's like, there is, I think, a commendable nature to just start with what you've got. Like if you have to, like even in art, if you have to like start on a napkin, so that's really great advice. Mm-hmm. Corey, it seemed like there was another question.
Yeah, I was going to say, Thomas had a question. He's saying, do you think spray gloss or flat would work?
I have not looked into spray gloss at all. I think that some people will use that for art prints, but I feel like with something like a spray on gloss, it's generally not intended to be, like especially for artwork, it doesn't seem like it's intended to be touched and handled a lot. I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever heard of anybody using it for stickers. I have heard of people using it for art prints, but I think for extra protection, most people will do laminate if they're going that route.
I'd be curious, like with fixative too, if that would work to just
and even how it would stick to vinyl. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if you did it as a matte print, because that's got a little bit more
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
tack
it's
to
got-
it that you could spray something on the top.
That'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
That's really
interesting.
cool, though. So I'm just curious how a Cricut printer works entirely, because I have no idea. So
That's an excellent question.
We
you
were
want
talking
to
about that
just
before the
roughly
show.
describe what a Cricut printer is?
Rough-
Have we talked
yeah.
about that on here?
We haven't talked about a
No.
Cricut yet, though.
Yeah,
though
yeah.
Scott has
So,
mentioned it off air a
yeah.
couple times.
A Cricut is about the size of a printer, but a Cricut does not actually print things. If you use the Cricut software, they have a specific app or computer program that you have to use, and it will give you a layout the size of a piece of paper, and you will put your designs onto that, and you can add a border if you want your stickers to have an outline around it, like most stickers do. And then you'll send that to your printer to be printed, and Cricut will print black markings. It used to be a full black box, but now it's just like black corners on the edges of this piece of sticker paper. And then you attach that piece of paper to a mat, which is like a little bit like cutting mat, but thinner. Yeah, Scott has one. So you'll attach it to that. Either it'll be sticky, or if it's no longer sticky, you can like tape it on there. And then you feed it into the cutting machine, into the Cricut, and the Cricut it can move it like forwards and backwards, and it can move its cutting mechanism side to side.
Mhm.
And it has a little light and a little scanner and a little baby knife, and it will, using those marks and using the information that you made your file with in the software, it will scan those black marks and figure out where your stickers are, and it will cut around those lines. And you can set it to cut die cut stickers or kiss cut stickers depending on what settings you use. I think the main issue people have with Cricuts is that it's not scanning it properly. Either it can't find these scanning marks at all, or it finds them but cuts off center. And the easiest way to fix that is, first, you can do a calibration, which Cricut will send to your printer a specific sheet that's like, here's lines 1 through 12 and letters A through F. Out of all these cuts we just made, which of these cuts is the closest to the center? And
so it's like it's almost like an ink alignment thing. That's awesome.
It's
Like a registration mark.
Yeah.
It's like, which of these is closest to perfect? And then if you do that, and if it's still not working, some other things you can do. If your paper is like not fully lined up in the correct place, or if it's warping a little bit, if you fix that, sometimes if there's an overhead light on directly above it, especially if it's a glossy paper, it can give it a weird glare, which can mess with its sensors.
Oh, the laser
know
can't
that.
read. That's smart.
Because it has a little light that it will shine onto the paper, but if there's other lights shining onto the paper, then it can get confused. Also, this is such a tech support thing to say, but also if it's not working, turn off the software and turn off and unplug the Cricut, and then plug it back in and turn it back on.
Like the IT crowd, have you tried turning it on?
Because if you tried turning it off and turning it back on again, honestly, like,
that's
Cricut,
amazing.
Yeah, Cricut customer support, they're okay. All they're going to be able to do is tell you to turn it off and turn it back on again. And they're like, have you tried these things? And like, I have tried this for an hour actually, but like, I first got my Cricut and it was almost never cutting perfectly centered. And I was with customer support for like an hour, like on 2 occasions. And finally the guy was just like, I don't know, we're just going to send you a new one. And they sent me a new Cricut, and this one usually works. Like, sometimes it'll give me issues and I'll get frustrated with it and just turn it off and put it away for like a day. And then for no conceivable reason, it'll just work perfectly again. But yeah, they're very convenient and helpful when they work. But it is, Corey, like you mentioned, a little bit like a printer. Like sometimes it just won't be working and you have no idea why. But the benefits of it, it's no matter how long it takes, it's still so much better than cutting them all up by hand.
Yeah, and it sounds much more affordable than like the really expensive like vinyl plotters and stuff. Although that was years ago, but I used to work at a place that would cut Rubylith with a plotter, that
Like a
was
Gerber
attached
machine,
to,
or
yeah, and it was attached to like CAD, which was not CAD like the CAD program, but CAD like the extension to like take a vector file and then feed it to that printer. But it was like it was is a headache for one thing, and insanely expensive, so it was in the realm of 3D printers years ago, where those used to be way out of the range of like somebody at home on their desktop. It's cool that that's available. That's really neat. One question about that: for the outlines like around your stickers, are you inputting that into, this is just coming from somebody who's never touched one of these before, are you drawing those out, like the outlines around your
does that have
stickers?
to be vector, or does it recognize like the transparency?
There are two ways that you can do it. No matter what you're importing into Cricut, you do want to import it as a clear background PNG. It can remove backgrounds for you, but you have to pay a subscription for that, and I don't want to do that. So you can either, in whatever drawing program you're using, it can do vector or it can do raster.
Yeah.
You can use white to just draw an outline around it, like increase the smoothing by a lot and just draw an outline and give it as much space as you want to. For some reason that Cricut support has not been able to explain to me, when I have imported files like this, it gives me a weird black border around the white outline. So if yours is doing that, if you go into Cricut, which I don't have open, if you go into the Cricut software, there is, what is it called? There's a setting called offset, which if you turn on offset, you can create a border just of the exact shape of the sticker right behind it, and you can make it as thick or as thin as you want to, and then change the color to white and connect the two together, just attach them and then flatten it. This is getting slightly more technical, but within each piece of paper, a piece of paper, like for sticker paper, is going to be 8.5 by 11. A Cricut can only scan and cut out within 6.75 by 9.25 inches.
I think they just recently went big. I think because they have. I think you can go like at like around 11 by 17 now.
Okay.
And you got to get a bigger thing, but I think just recently they did that where you can cut out bigger pieces. So
that is convenient.
Yeah, but you're basically saying there's a margin that the printer is going to need to feed, like to be able to grab the sides of the paper, and
it mostly just it needs room to put the black markings for the Cricut to read, and it needs a certain amount of white space around those.
Got it. Yeah,
and
for the laser
of paper,
probably.
Yeah. With the size of paper that I have, the area is usually 6.75 by 6.75 by 9.25 inches. And if you put stickers into Cricut, once you put all the stickers in there, make sure all of them fit inside of that area. You can make like a box that's exactly that size to make sure everything is in that area, and then delete the box. And then all of your stickers you attach and then you flatten them. And then you import it to your printer to be printed, or I guess export to your printer to be printed, because otherwise Cricut will see like these 9 different stickers and it will think, oh, look at all these 9 different stickers. I think we should arrange them separately on 3 different pieces of paper. But if you flatten it all as a single shape, Cricut's like, oh, this fits within my 6.75 by 9.25 cut radius. This is exactly perfect. But if you don't flatten it, then it's going to try to put it all on different pieces of paper, which is not ideal.
That's interesting. And the outline that it reads has to be white around the edges, that it's going to be kiss cutting, I guess?
It doesn't have to be white. It's just if you make an outline that's blue, it's not like a single line. It's a white blob, like filled in shape behind your sticker. And if you make it blue, then it's just going to print it blue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I've had stickers that they don't have a white border. They'd have a black border just because of the aesthetic of the sticker.
Yeah.
But for 99% of stickers, it'll be white because then it just won't print any color.
Yeah. I think I had just missed that it was the whole shape that it kind of tracks it to. That's awesome.
Yeah, I could have been more clear about that.
No. It wasn't you. It was me. You're being perfectly clear. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's cool.
Scott, you've been kind of messing with Cricut printers. Did you have any specific questions, like coming from
Well,
a standpoint of somebody who's
I
used
talked to
them, or-
Emiline a little before the show, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think I just need to do a little more experimenting and messing around, because it sounds like she's had a lot of the same problems that I'm having, and
Yeah.
it sounds like something you just kind of got to figure out. But I mean, a lot of the stuff is helpful. So,
That's
but
awesome.
it's because in my videos I talk about using the Cricut, and then I have people asking me questions. And to be honest, because I showed using the Cricut, but it didn't really work, so I just did some creative editing and made it look like I was doing it on the Cricut, when in fact I just cut them out by hand because I need it for the video. So, but
That's
I'd like to get to the
hilarious.
point where, because I want to do templates, and I'm doing templates. Like I'm doing like, what is it, SVG files that I sent out, and like, hopefully they're
so
gonna
it
work
can
for
read
people.
vector then.
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
would think.
Cricut, it can either do print and cut, where it prints out a design and then cuts it out, or it can do just cut, where it'll just cut out a design, which obviously isn't printing anything. But I've used it for that before. I've made stencils with it before, but I
Nice.
usually use it for stickers.
Nice. So if
Scott-
you wanted to be
Scott,
like
is
a
this-
graffiti artist or something,
I didn't print those.
a
though.
Cricut printer
Those I
would be
sent
good
out.
for making stencils
Okay.
to spray paint.
You can
Yeah,
make
so that
stencils
was
with
the
it.
thing. So those stickers I actually had professionally done.
Let's make that
But I
full
made it
screen
look like
real
I
quick.
actually did them myself, in the video, when in fact I sent those out to be done. So
Yeah, because I was going to say that's some impressive X-Acto knife work. If that was
no, I
done.
didn't cut those. Well, I wasn't necessarily talking about that particular project. Like there's ones that are more like not that involved cutting things out. So
Yeah.
You
Those
know
are
what?
awesome.
You know what, Scott? I think your gross food would do well on Etsy.
Yeah, I think you should
Maybe.
do like an Etsy shop attached to your, since you're doing smaller quantities.
I have an Etsy shop. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I would-
certainly put those up there, but
Yeah, maybe. Although you do have your main website, but it might be interesting to see if it draws that Etsy traffic, because these are very crafty, like the things you're going to be making, as well as like really well illustrated. And
yeah.
stuff. I think
I
they-
had
I've
that
got mostly
question.
prints, and I sell maybe 2 or 3 a month, and that's it. On Etsy,
But
so
like,
but I
if
don't
I
push
think-
it or anything. So
if I think about like a gross out wax pack sticker, that actually sounds more like an Etsy item,
yeah, possibly,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And I've ordered wax packs like from vendors, like actually not artists, but just vendors that are selling like Garbage Pail Kids and things on
Yeah.
Etsy. So there's people searching for that.
Yep.
So yeah, that might not be a bad idea, but yeah.
Okay,
love it.
I have one or two questions to wrap up. So before I head into the wrap up, Emiline, do you have anything that you want to say, or Scott or Josh, do you have anything you want to ask?
I was just kind of curious about the style, because I mean, we've been talking about a lot of technique and stuff like that, like for just the technical aspects of running a shop. But
Yeah.
obviously, there must be something about the way that you're drawing these that's competing pretty efficiently against all the fan art on Etsy.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
not like you're the only one doing fan art.
Yeah.
No.
And so I feel like, is there something specific about, do you want to kind of describe your style for the audience, just to kind of entice them to check out your shop? Like, that's what I'd be
style-
curious about.
While you're
see,
doing
I'm trying
that,
to
I will share my screen with your stuff on it. So
Oh, there we go. I think the style that I usually do is kind of a little bit rounder, and aesthetic is not quite an adjective, but it's aesthetic. It's closer to pastel colors, like slightly desaturated. They're like this. They're usually simpler. They're usually pretty. The style that typically I'm going for with a lot of these is the types of stickers that you might see in gift shops or tourist shops or just some random store, that like this, for the most part, this could be just a sticker, or this could just be an art print from some actual national park. But if you're actually in the fandom, then you'd know, oh, this is not actually advertising for the actual Olympics. This is
Yeah.
advertising for a Minecraft series or whatever. But yeah,
No, but
generally,
they seem cohesive, like in the
Mhm.
look. Like there's definitely
Yeah,
a
there's
quality to them. Yeah.
a lot of them I will do lineless art. I prefer lineless art. I prefer more desaturated colors. For the national park print series that I do, which is essentially fictional locations redesigned as if they were from a national, like an actual national park. Those ones, it is lineless art. I typically have either a complementary color palette or this one. Those ones I just like how the colors look. Sometimes I'll do monochromatic for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is not super complicated artwork. It's simpler and it's pretty and it's bright and it takes me like an hour to 2 hours to complete.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and like, I make a decent amount of money from it, which is, that's always nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, obviously, this is not a real national park, but it kind of looks like one. Like,
I'm glad that it's not. If we had Weird Mageddon as a national park, we'd be in some serious trouble.
Yeah. But I do like the whole riff on like the NPS posters. That's great. I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, I think that for Etsy specifically, people who are just looking on Etsy, specifically if they're looking for fan art, if it's a style that they personally like and it is a character or a setting that they like, then they're more likely to buy it. I think that specifically for fan art, if you're doing like illustrations of the actual characters, it either, because there's so many people that draw in it, you either need to be unique in some way or it needs to be kind of cuter and more simple. And like, because if it's simpler, then you can do it really well pretty easily, or at least do it pretty well pretty easily. Whereas, at least what I found, if you're doing something that's a lot more detailed and closer to, like, it's going to take a lot more hours to do, there's other people who are going to be doing that thing a lot better than you, unless you're like really, really good. So I've had a lot more success with things that I can do quickly and I can make them look good quickly and they're still simple, as compared to things that are full on character or like setting illustrations that I've got like line art and like all this detailed shadows and highlights. And there's always going to be people who are doing that better than me. So I still do that on occasion, but I prefer to be in the simpler area because it's, I don't know, it's a style that I prefer. I don't have a good name for that particular style, but
I would just call it cartooning. I mean, in the best of ways, like it's there's nothing wrong with
it's
if you can make something fast, that's good. Then what's the issue?
Like
awesome.
This is for the style of national, like these national park posters, and I also have like round stickers for them. Those are ones that I typically do custom commissions for as well, because a lot of people have these super niche fandoms that they don't have any artwork for that they like. Like I had somebody commission me to do a city from one of the planets in Transformers, which that is pretty niche. I know only a little bit about Transformers. And for the amount of time it took me and the amount of commissions that I've done before, like it was worth it to me, the amount that I got for it.
Yeah.
And they were happy. I was happy. They have artwork. It didn't take me like 18 hours to do, which is good because, again, college. So
I only know Cybertron. I didn't know there were more than one planet in Transformers.
It was like one of the cities. I don't even know how to say it, but
the guy,
I never had to say it out loud.
The guy who drew Scott Pilgrim, he owns and runs the Transformers wiki. And so if you follow him on Twitter, you recognize that there is so much more about Transformers that I will never know. Like,
I've seen some of the cartoons from the 80s. I've seen some of the live action movies.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the modern day cartoons, which are different.
That was one of the first crying in a movie sequences in my childhood was Transformers the movie. I think that might have been, I can't promise, but that might have been the first movie I actually cried in. Because I was like, Optimus! And then they have him like fade out, like the color fades out of his body. It's so brutal. They killed Optimus. I couldn't believe it. Anyhow, but yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool to see. And yeah, and honestly, that's no small feat doing like simple flat color based graphics. Actually, that's a skill. Like a lot of people
Yeah,
struggle to do that.
you're downplaying it a lot, but
Yeah.
it's good that you're that fast. Okay, here's my closing send off. This is not going to be a surprise to anyone who knows me. How do you feel about AI generated content on Etsy?
Is that on Etsy already?
Yeah, it is. It's I am kind of I think that personally, if you're creating AI generated artwork, which is not really artwork, but I feel like if you're generating that and you're using it for personal use, like you have a Dungeons and Dragons character and you just want some cool art for them, or you just want something to hang on your wall, or you just think it'd be fun, I don't have a problem with you using AI art for that. If you were trying to monetize it, then you were essentially trying to monetize like this cannibalized version of a bunch of art from a bunch of other creators that was not like approved by them. They did not give their permission for this. A lot of artists are specifically saying that their art is not allowed to be used for training AI, and people do it anyway. I think I see this on Etsy now, which is essentially AI generated and it's also drop shipping, which I think is this is going to sound a little harsh. I think it is the laziest business model I have ever seen, and slightly like, I don't want to say worthless,
You could say
but
worthless.
I'll say worthless. Like, if you're not an artist, you're stealing work from other people, and you're not a business owner because you're just drop shipping it. Like, you're AI generating the content, so you're not making the artwork on the shirt, you're not making the shirt, you're not shipping the shirt. You were involved in none of this process except stealing artwork from other people and trying to pass it off as your own. So that's my opinion on AI art. I don't have an issue with it if you're just using it for personal use. But even like at comic conventions, there have been full booths that are taken away from actual artists because those spots are being sold to people who are selling AI generated content, which is I have issues with because I've been like declined from different artist alleys at conventions, and it's disappointing to see them give it to AI generated content instead. So that's my feelings on AI art. I don't have a problem with it if you're just using it for you. If you're trying to monetize it, that's when I have an issue with it.
Do you think Etsy should respond, and do you think that they are going to respond? Because I wonder, because Etsy years ago was known, like absolutely known for every single thing that you buy on this website is like handmade, handcrafted.
Yeah, it's
They kind of several years ago went away from that. They're still
yeah.
kind of known
A
for that.
good
I think
chunk of it is just drop shipping, which is if you're designing the artwork yourself and drop shipping it, that's different. If
Mhm.
you're like getting stuff off AliExpress or AI generated content and drop shipping it, that's more of a problem. But I highly doubt Etsy is going to do anything about it because they are a corporation and they prefer to have money. And the people who are doing AI generated art, they have no like costs. It doesn't cost them anything, so they can pay whatever fees Etsy wants. So Etsy's not going to get rid of them because Etsy's getting money from them. That's that's what I've seen for it. I think if Etsy should care about the actual people making handmade stuff, but they get more money from other people, so I doubt they're going to do anything about it. I think Etsy is struggling in that area, which is
I
unfortunate.
think if they don't cut that off and really lean into like handmade artist stuff, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
People will not put up with just the glut of AI garbage that's going to be coming out.
It's the same with Amazon and KDP. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all AI a lot of it's AI generated, and it's just and it's the style. You know, you see a coloring book where every single page the style doesn't match and everything, and it just I mean, sooner or later, you know, some people can't tell the difference, but sooner or later, it's just going to be like this is all garbage. You
Well, I
know,
feel like it
so
might be kind of equivalent to when Photoshop first got big on the design scene, and you had everybody start being like, we don't need graphic designers anymore. My cousin can do this.
Lens flare.
And everybody was doing like lens flare and rainbow gradients on everything where it looked like unicorns threw up on a trash can.
Emboss,
and every
emboss.
font, like every flyer you'd see was like every plug-in effect, like on a layer effect, like that's known to man. And that lasted for about a year. And then everybody was like, oh wow, the kerning's really crappy on this type, like, or like all the fundamentals came back, so my hope with AI is that, but that's a tough one, and that's a shame because Etsy's so fun. Like I'll go grab something real quick. I'll be right back. I want to show one of the powers of Etsy in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to get going.
I buy stickers off of Etsy all the time. Like I'll buy stickers, I'll buy artwork, but it's always from real people. Like if I want fake stuff, I'll go to Amazon with their 100-pack of stickers for $5. Like if that's what Etsy is coming to, that's kind of sad because I think AI is just gonna keep growing more and more, which is a little annoying.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. So Etsy needs to stick to their strengths. like the second that thing happened with Bernie Sanders at the thing, I was I need like Bernie Sanders sitting at the inauguration in mittens, and they had this on Etsy, like hand made by somebody, with like this wasn't handmade by them, but this was, and like the idea that somebody is sitting there making bank, making a little knitted like thing. That's amazing to me.
That's what Etsy's for. That and like fun little stickers, not AI stolen stuff.
Yeah, and you kind of hope that the stickers are made by an individual. Like that's the appeal of Etsy is like you're gonna find you're not going to a big sticker company. You're going to like an individual who's like making these themselves.
It's like you're not paying for some billionaire to get richer. You're paying so that I can eat groceries this week.
Yeah.
That is true.
It's the nicer side of it.
Thomas has a good question that I'll probably address in another stream because we've got to wrap. But before we go, Emiline, will you tell us where would you like people to go? Would you like them to go to the Etsy, or would you like them to buy directly from your store?
You can, if you go to Winter Star Art on Instagram, that has my links to everywhere that's relevant. So if you have Instagram, if you have TikTok, it's also Winter Star Art. If you don't have either of those, it's Nerdy Creatives Shop on Etsy, which the branding is changing to be more consistent, but
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And all of those links are in the description of this video, so you can check her out. So go check out her stuff. She's got keychains and stickers and stuff, and she's doing really good stuff. So thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Josh, where can we find your stuff?
You can find it at joshuakemble.com. You can also find my books, Jacob's Apartment and Two Stories, on Amazon. They're both very heartfelt, very handmade, and it took about 5 years a piece to make. So I'm proud of them. And if you're into like slice of life, heavier stories, then you'd probably be interested in checking those out.
Sounds good. And if you want to check out my stuff, go to CoreyKerr.com. I got stuff available in the store, and I prefer you buy it off of my website than other places that it might be sold, because then I don't have to. Then I get higher margins, and so check that out. So right now I've got shirts and hoodies and mugs and laptop covers and things like that. But if you want to see me move into stickers and maybe do some. I'm thinking of maybe doing some like 6x9 kind of larger stickers or something with some of the stuff that I've been doing lately. Then jump onto my email newsletter, leave me a comment through that, and if I get enough people doing that, then I'll probably move in that direction. And you can get that at CoreyKerr.com/email. Scott, where can we find your stuff, and how do we keep track of all this Artcasters business that seems to jump from channel to channel?
Yeah, so you can find my work at my website at circworks.com. I have a bunch of prints, and I'll kinds of printed material and stuff like that you can order, as well as a bunch of digital products that'll help you make comic books, digital tools and templates and all that kind of stuff over at circworks.com. In addition, I've got my website. I've got my YouTube channel. It's Circworks Art Labs on YouTube, and just started re-uploading there and just doing some new stuff over there that I'm pretty excited about. Basically reverse engineering novelties and nostalgia from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and putting my own unique spin on it. So definitely check that stuff out. There's more to come on that front. And like Corey said, we do this show every single week, the Artcasters, and it kind of moves around from Josh's channel to Corey's channel, and it used to be on my channel, but now it's just basically Josh's channel, Corey's channel. But there's different hosts. Like sometimes I'll host it, sometimes Josh is running the show, or whatever. It can get a little confusing, and we have different guests all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's on different days.
Sometimes it's like Gene Simmons from Kiss. You never know who's even going to be hosting.
One time it was around Halloween time, if I remember correctly. But so all that is to say that if you don't want to be confused by all this stuff, just join the mailing list. And basically what that is just usually, except for today, because I wasn't even really planning on being on the stream. It just happened to work out. But typically there's a newsletter that goes out about 30 minutes before we go live, just to let you guys know, because YouTube doesn't always inform people. And that'll let you know whose channel it's going to be on, who the guest is going to be, what the topic is, and all that stuff. And we don't spam you or anything. All it is that we just send out that link just to notify you guys. So you can sign up for that in the link below.
Nice. Truly said like the Snack King.
The snack. What was it? That was my what do you call it? Anagram? Is it anagram? What is it? Yeah, it was a Snack King. No, Snack Lord. Snack Lord.
That's
test.
it. Sorry,
it's Snack Lord test. Is Scott circling mixed up and reading. So yeah,
I must have missed several.
Were you not on that show? Were you not?
You might have been out on that show. I mean, remember Scott opened it up as the Snack King test with sunglasses
Snack
on.
Lord.
You must have been on vacation. Snack Lord. I apologize, Snack Lord. I shouldn't.
This rings no bells. I must have not been there. Jim Jim is asking for a close up of your shirt, Scott. So as we close out, why don't you give us a close up of your shirt?
Arizona. That is a wildlife kind of reserve park that you can drive through in Arizona, northern Arizona, where you can see bears and all kind. And then you can walk in. It's like you can go through and see them, and they're kind of walking around. You drive through in your car, and then you can park and then go in, and then it's kind of like a zoo where they've got otters, which is my favorite, and then they've got all kinds of other animals there and stuff. So it's a cool place.
The other day in class, I suggested that we should eat otters, and everybody got really offended.
What?
No, we should not eat otters.
And on that note, we will catch you guys next week. And thanks for joining us. And we'll be out. Go make